Welcome to the Take a Listing Today podcast, where our hosts Jim Studebaker and Todd Robertson give you strategies to get you out of the office right now so you can take a new listing today. And now, here's Jim and Todd.
Whoa! Welcome. Hello there, the Take a Listing Today podcast. We are back for another exciting episode. Jim Studebaker over here, and over there is Todd Robertson.
Howdy.
And of course over there, Lisa Gray.
Boom, as the thunder goes off in the background.
How do we have thunder and the palm trees here at the beach? How exactly does that
Where
happen?
we are, it's always sunny.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Not other parts, just us.
Other parts, who knows how sunny it is. We said hi to Lisa, right? Okay, good. I got distracted by the thunder. Well, today is a wonderful time for you to join us. And before we get into that, I want to remind you to visit our website. It's ProspectsPLUS.com is our sponsor for today's program. And of course, we have our own website, TakeAListingToday.com. You can learn about our upcoming shows and join us live on a future podcast where you might win some great prizes, maybe some cash, except that's every other show, and this is the other show. Right. So no cash today, but we do have something very wonderful, a special guest with us to tell you how you can get more real estate referrals and sell less. Please join us in welcoming Stacey Brown Randall.
Stacey!
Hello.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're up in North Carolina, correct?
That is right, yes.
All right. Well, thank you for being on our show today. Stacey, I am told that you are an expert at teaching individuals and businesses how to generate referrals. Do I have that right?
Yes, and I do it in a very special way that does not include asking.
Does not include asking.
Wonderful. Now, before we get into that, because that will be pure gold for some of our listeners and viewers, share with us briefly your story so they get a little background before we dive into the meat of the matter, if you will.
Yes. Well, I'll give you the part that actually matters for what we're going to talk about today and where we will go with all this great information. So I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, you know what? I want to build a company that's going to teach people how to generate referrals for their business without having to ask for those referrals. I actually had to learn it the hard way. So I started my first business. I was like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. Actually, I'm from a family of entrepreneurs, but we call them the crazy kind because they all own restaurants. So you can be crazy. I can call you crazy if you decide to own a restaurant, since that's my family side. But
Yep.
I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Started my first business. I worked in corporate America for a number of years, about a decade or so. Started my first business. And 4 years later, that business would fail, and I would find myself as a member of the Business Failure Club. And I had big name clients like KPMG, Ally Bank, Coca-Cola Bottling Consolidated. Like, from the outside looking in, you would have thought, well, how in the world did your business fail? And one of the things I realized is that if the touching business development every day, if it's not happening in a way that A, works, but B, works for you, then it kind of makes it hard to sustain that. And so 4 years after putting out my own first shingle, I had to take it down. I had to go back to corporate America. I had to overcome that ego blow of having a business failure. Took a job, figured out what I did wrong. Then I got certified as a productivity coach and actually became a productivity and business coach a little bit after that. Started my second business. Was like, okay, cannot fail again. Don't want to go back to corporate America if I can help it. So we got to figure this business development piece out. And I, like everybody else, went to the all-knowing Google and said, hey, how do I get referrals? Because those things are great. And I didn't get any of them in my first business. And the advice was to ask. And so I just used my own coaching and productivity practice on how am I going to be able to get referrals and do it in a way that goes against everything else everybody else is saying and be successful. And that's kind of landed me to where I am today.
That's a great sentence you just said there, right? When everyone else is doing this, is like the old saying, when they zig, you zag, right? When everybody restricts their advertising, their everything, the sharp people are pushing all their chips in. They're the option.
Absolutely. And in real estate, referrals is kind of the name of the game, to go out there and be able to get those connections. And you had an article in Inman recently where you said explicitly asking for referrals is a bad strategy. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I recognize that in the real estate industry, and it's not just the real estate industry, it's in so many industries, that we have been taught not just for decades, but for generations. If we want referrals, that we're going to have to ask for them. And that comes from how we typically teach a sales strategy. We teach a sales strategy having two parts. You need a prospecting plan, you need a marketing plan. Both are good parts, and you need both parts. Prospecting could be the cold calling, right? It could be the networking, the 7 million cups of coffee. And then, of course, you got the marketing, which could be the website, social media, PR, whatever it looks like, whatever you're doing. And so when we take referrals and we try to put them into the concept of prospecting or marketing, that's where we use this advice like, oh, well, if we're taking referrals and treating it like it's prospecting mentality, then I'm going to teach you to ask or to pay. And if it's promotional, right, and from the marketing side, I'm going to teach you how to be promotional. Like, so now I have a goldfish that says I'm fishing for your referrals on the tag that goes along with it, which I see a lot in the real estate industry. So that's what you're taught, right? You're taught ask, pay, or be promotional and gimmicky. And that doesn't always fit how we want our reputation to be in the marketplace. It's not always how we want to be seen in the marketplace. And so it's always important for me to say, when we ask, here's the things that happen that are not good, to first put it in context of where does this advice come from?
Nice.
So where this advice comes from, of course, right, is it's marketing or it's prospecting, make referrals fit. But you really need a sales strategy that has a third leg of your stool, and you really need that third leg to be your referral plan, which means you take it out of the mentality of prospecting or marketing and you create it differently in your business, because everything about it is different. The end user of your prospecting and marketing message is the prospect. The end user of your referral message is the referral source who knows the prospect. So everything about it is different. Mentality is different. So understanding where the advice comes from, I think, is important to understand why that's all we've ever been told. And then when you look at, okay, but what happens when we ask, right? Well, if you ask for referrals, that becomes your main source or your main trigger that's actually going to generate referrals to you. And here's what I always say. If you're asking for referrals and it's working for you, I'm not here to break anything that's working in your business. If you're asking and you're getting referrals every time and you're getting quality referrals, not junk referrals, ones you can actually close into buying or selling clients, then by all means keep going. But if you're not getting the quality and every time you ask, you know you're making somebody else uncomfortable, here's what's actually happening. You don't have that trigger of asking. You need to replace it with something else, because you don't want to be the person that people start to avoid when they see you coming, because you're now having that asking label. And so the idea here is that a referral isn't the same as just closing somebody. A referral is somebody else putting their reputation on the line for you. And they want to know you're going to do a good job. So having a relationship with you is important before they decide that they're going to actually refer someone to you. So when you decide to ask, you make that referral all about yourself. And the referral actually isn't anything about you. It's about a referral source helping somebody they know who has a problem by connecting them to you as a solution provider. So you make it about yourself, and referrals are never about you. And then it becomes your only triggering mechanism to receive referrals, and then you become labeled as the person who's always asking. There is another way to build it out in your business to where you don't have to worry about trying to artificially create or manufacture something, the ask, that doesn't actually exist.
So is that kind of like push and pull marketing, right? It's interesting, right? Most people are told, right, to go ASK to GET, but then you could repel a lot of people, right? So that's, right, pull and push marketing, which we use as well, right? Somebody can watch the video, fill out the form, no pressure, boom, they have an interest.
Exactly. And maybe you have a particular story, Stacy, of a company that you've helped out to help generate more referrals using your technique. Can you share one of those with us?
Oh, sure. So it's actually when we started the program, we've been doing this now for 7 years, but early on we had somebody come in, she was actually an agent, she was a real estate agent, and I just love what she always said. She was like, it's just important that people feel like I care about them, because I do. And I want whatever I'm doing to generate these referrals, people know that I care about them. And I said, well, first and foremost, to be referable, you actually have to be referable. Like, you have to be worthy, right? So
like a nice person, right?
Yeah, you got to be a good person who actually does good work. Right? So you got to have good communication, you got to manage expectations, you got to have processes and systems behind what you do so that you can have what we call that smooth client experience, that sticky client experience that keeps someone coming back or referring you. And so, like, helping her understand that, first of all, what you need to do if you want to have more referrals is identify who your referral sources are. So number one, kind of the disclaimer is be referable. Like, be worthy of referrals. You deserve them. You're not owed them. So you have to be willing to do some work, which means part of that is do great client work so you can actually be referable. Then it's walking them through the process of saying, okay, why don't you figure out exactly who your referral sources are? So walking through the process that we teach about how to identify with precision who your referral sources are. This isn't anecdotal evidence. Well, you know, I hang out with Jim and we talk business every couple of days, and he talks about people he's sending to me. He's definitely one of my referral sources. And then you pull the information and you realize actually he's never sent you anybody. You guys just hang out a lot, so you make that assumption. So it's getting really clear. And that is usually an aha moment. The same one she had, this agent that I'm referring to, it's the same one that all my students have when they come through my program, is that, oh my gosh, I don't actually know who my referral sources are. Right? And then what we teach is like, how do you take care of them in a way that isn't keeping in touch? It isn't your e-newsletter that you send out. It isn't that every 32 days you call them just to see how they're doing, which we all kind of know after a while what that call is all about. But like, how do you be memorable and meaningful and top of mind, and giving yourself an opportunity to plant referral seeds as part of an outreach, right, to your referral sources? So the biggest aha moment people typically have is, oh my gosh, now I know who my referral sources are. So now I know how I can start thinking about treating them differently. And she, you know, it's always fun to watch a student kind of go through the process, and they're like, oh my gosh. And I remember when she had emailed me back, she's like, I'm watching my referrals move to double digits. I've never gotten double digit referrals in a year before. And now here I am getting double digit referrals. And I said, and the cool thing about this is that as long as you keep the process going and you stay referable, right, you do good work, then of course you get to watch this snowball over time, right? So it's taking another student who went to the program who got, you know, like 4 or 5 referrals in a year. First year on the program got 20. Second year on the program got 40, right? It's like kind of watching that kind of grow from that perspective. And some people, like I'm thinking about one guy in particular, some people start out with like a bunch of referrals, but they don't have a high closing ratio because the referrals aren't the right quality. So it's helping that shift. Others, they just don't get a lot of referrals because it's not like they don't deserve them. It's not like they don't do great work. They don't know how to cultivate their referral sources. So there's a lot of pieces to it, but it's not hard at all, but it is work you have to be willing to do.
Well, and I like the first part you said there. You have to be worthy of the referral. Your mindset has to be there to where, boom, my game is sharp enough to where if I got that referral, I can take it to the finish line congruently with integrity. And who doesn't want to get there, right? I mean, people hate prospecting. They hate cold calling. So every agent watching and listening would love to get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy, I have a question for you. So how do you help your referral source send you quality referrals? What do you do to help cultivate that?
Yeah, so that is such an excellent question that I get asked a lot. So it's definitely, I always find when folks are thinking about their referrals and their referral sources, they typically want to know, okay, how do I get them? And then how do I get better quality ones? And so I always say, when you are looking at the type of quality of referrals that you're receiving, if you get a referral from someone, it's the very first referral they've ever sent you, and it wasn't the right quality, that's not the time or place to try to you know, constructively have a conversation with them about what type of client you're looking for. They need to get into the habit of referring you, and then you can manage the conversation with them about helping them understand why you weren't able to help the people that they have sent to you. But then there's the other side of that, which is it's important to recognize how we cultivate those relationships with our referral sources. And like I mentioned before, what that's not is your e-newsletter or calling them every 30 or 60 days because you're part of some cycle that you're being told to call. This is about your ability to be meaningful and memorable with them, which means you want to do some specific outreach that allows them to understand that, wow, Stacey really cares about me, or Jim really cares about me, giving us then the opportunity to weave in some specific referral seed language. So let me give you an example of kind of exactly what that looks like. Now, I'm going to use a gift example as my example, but that is one of many categories of things you can do when you are trying to take care of your referral sources. And I think the important thing for people to recognize is you can do this on a shoestring budget. You don't have to have a big budget to be able to buy gifts, but I know when I use this example in everyone's mind's eye, they can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about, and it helps the example make more sense. So when I was a business and productivity coach, one of the things I recognized, because of course I did this process myself first, is realizing who are my referral sources. That really is the key step. Once you know who your referral sources are, it makes more sense of what you want to do for them. What I realized is the top referral sources that I had were mostly business owners who were also parents. So something I did to be memorable and meaningful, right, is I actually recognized Mother's Day and Father's Day and acknowledged my referral sources on Mother's Day and Father's Day. And one year, to all the mothers that were a referral source of mine, I actually sent a Wonder Woman water bottle. And the language was really simple about being a hero. It wasn't anything fancy. We weren't trying to push anything. Like, just never forget you are a hero, and giving them a Wonder Woman water bottle. And it was unique and different and memorable and meaningful because they knew, well, Stacy, like, she gets me, right? She sees me. And of course, no one's expecting to hear from their business and productivity coach on Mother's Day or Father's Day. And it allowed them to realize, right, not just when they received it, but a year or 2 years later, they never forgot who gave them that water bottle. And it was a way of me saying, hey, I see you, and my ability to impact how important they are to me because they refer me. They make my life easier. I mean, anybody who gives you a referral is like, here, let me make your life easier. Let me drop a brand new client potentially into your lap. And, all the time, obviously, we get into the place of making sure that's quality. But when you are receiving referrals, it's just easier to grow and manage your business. So, of course, you should have a mentality of taking care of those people who send you referrals.
It's good stuff. Good
Awesome.
stuff. I want to hear about this referral explosion. I saw that term and I got a little excited and scared at the same time.
Right. It happens.
Yeah. Can you share with us what exactly that is?
So there's lots of different ways to grow your practice, right? When you're thinking about growing your practice, there's lots of different things that you can do. My goal is to always make sure, right, whatever you're doing to do lead generation, to bring prospects into your funnel, into your pipeline, is that if you're working with me, I want the referral piece to be the biggest piece of the pie, if at all possible. That's my ultimate goal. And so for some people, an explosion can look like, hey, I need 12, right? I need 12 clients a year, and if I got 12 by referral, that would make my year, and that would be the explosion that I needed to completely change how I ran my business. Some are like, yeah, I need 100, right? It just kind of depends on where you're coming from. So when we say the word explosion, what I always tell folks to think, it depends on the capacity of new clients you need that you ultimately want coming through referrals. I'm not interested in anyone feeling that they have to get to 100% referral-based business. That's an amazing place to be, but it's not something you need to focus on. But it's this concept and idea of understanding what's your capacity for new clients. How many deals can you work on in a year? How many clients can you help in a year? What does that look like based on your size? Are you a solopreneur? Do you have a team of agents? What does that look like? And then taking that through the process of like, okay, this is capacity. And then if we met that capacity or close to that capacity by referrals that you were able to close to a yes, right? That is how you define your explosion. For most people, it's having more referrals than they've ever received before. So it's going from 2 or 3 referrals to 15. It's going from 80 referrals to 347. Right? And these are from students in my program based on what they do, the capacity that they have to take on new clients, and then actually working a system that allows them to receive more referrals than ever before. But the thing here is that I can say 347, but if you can't handle 347 referrals and new clients, like that is not a number that is relevant to you. If 15 is what it looks like for you, then that's where we want to get. So we look at the explosion as it is, specific to the person, and it's a formula that we use to calculate what it will look like and how it should grow over time. But all explosions start as a trickle, and then they snowball, and then eventually you get yourself to a place where you're bringing in the number of referrals you want every year to have sustainability and consistency in that part of the generation of the growth of your business.
Awesome. Let me ask you a question as a productivity coach, because in light of what's going on right now, a lot of agents are going through stuff. A lot of agents have fear. What would you say to a realtor out there listening or watching right now who really wants to get to this place of referrals, understands it, but realizes that will take some time, right, to cultivate that, to turn that into a snowball? But what advice would you give somebody watching or listening that might be stuck, that might be paralyzed, that might be not hitting it as hard as they can? There's fear, right? So what would you say to somebody in that situation?
It's interesting. I haven't done the productivity coaching in a while, but it is very much a part of everything that I do. I mean, it's very much a part of obviously how I run my world, how I try to help my husband run his world, which, that's not always a good thing. And then the way that I build.
Hey, honey, here's what I need you to be doing. Yeah.
He loves that, right? You should ask my 3 kids. They're like, oh, good. Look, there's another schedule for today. Shocker for mom.
Right.
But it is a part of actually how I teach referrals today, is pulling from some of those things that I learned as a productivity coach. And a big thing for me that I always tell folks, when we want to accomplish something, but we're stuck, either because the task itself is scary to us, or we have head trash because of something else going on, it's to pick the first step. And when you pick the first step, then usually your momentum can build from there. And the very first step, it's the step that I told people to do 7 years ago. It's the same step that I tell people to do now so they can emerge referral stronger from COVID, is sit down and identify who your referral sources are. I promise you, once you look at those list of names, those first and last names of people who have sent you clients in the past or are sending you clients today, it will change how you look at not only those people, but how you see where your business can go. Now, some of you are going to do that exercise, right? I detail it out in chapter 8 of my book, Generating Business Referrals Without Asking. So if you want to know how to do it, it's right there in the book. And I have some podcast episodes about it as well. But if you think about identifying who your referral sources are, that's a first step to kind of be like, okay, now I have a list of people. Now let me see what my next step is. Stop worrying about the end result. Stop worrying about what you're supposed to do 30 days from now. Just do this first step. Some of you will go through this process and you'll look at this list of people and you'll be like, wow, there are people on this list who have referred me and I haven't talked to them in 9 months. Like I'm ignoring the people who have helped me build my business. Some people will look at that list and they'll say, it's too small. I need more. I don't have enough, right? And then you need to learn the process of how to turn somebody into a referral source. But the idea here is that knowledge is power. And power helps you overcome the fear or what is having you in a sticking place. So don't worry about everything else you're supposed to be doing. When it comes to referrals, just take this first step and then see where you are after that step. You got to break it down to the smallest common denominator and do that.
I love the first step because, yeah, right? Like I used to work with Tony Robbins. He used to tell us knowledge is potential power. Knowledge is only power if put into action. I like your first step, right? Because once you take the first step, the human nature is you're going to take the others.
Stacey, it sounds like what you're saying is your referral sources are almost like influencers, not just referral sources. So if you've got a sphere of influence of 150 people, say Realtor, the average would be 150 people that know, like them, trust them. What would you say is the ratio that are your true referral sources, influencers that are continually sending? What do you find there's an average ratio for 150 people in a sphere? What do you feel would be likely? Because I have a feeling agents are thinking, I've got to get these 150 to start sending me stuff. And I have a feeling it's much less, that number is much less.
You're absolutely right. It is much less. Depending on how many, so here's what I would tell you. Can you guys help me? Let's do the scenario. Let's just I'm going to do public math, which is a scary thought, but let's just do the scenario live. For an agent that's listening to us right now, what's the average number of deals or closes or clients that they want to work with in a year? What's like not like the highest they've ever had, but what's like a good solid year for them? What's a number?
50 is really good, but 30 is probably more realistic. What would you say?
Yeah, in terms of clients going to a close, yeah, 30, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay,
guess.
Perfect. So let's use the number 30. It's kind of round, so I think I should be able to do this math okay. So you've got
Should we
30.
make it 20 for you? Is that better?
Yeah, it's fine. We're going to go with 30.
Also the number. We have flexibility here.
Yeah, we could just say 1, right? No. Okay, so if we're looking at, you need 30 deals in a year, right? And then you're paying attention to how many people are referring you. If you tell me that you have right now 3 or 4 people, I'm going to tell you, you're going to probably have to quadruple that to about a dozen or so to get yourself to those 30 referrals. And that's if your referral sources are really good to giving you actually 1 or 2 or 3 referrals a year. Most referral sources don't. They're like, when you consistently track your data, you can see that they give 1 consistently. And then you have others that give like 5 or 6 consistently. So it depends on the quality of your referral sources in terms of how active they are in referring you. But a lot of agents that I see, I'm like, it's a dozen, it's 2 dozen. Stop thinking it's more than that number of referral sources you need to be able to get 24, 30, or 40, right, closes in a year. As long as your referral sources are giving you at least 1, and some of them giving you maybe 2 or 3 in a year, you're going to get to that number you need to be to. But you're right, Lisa, a lot of people are like, I have an agent right now going through the program, And she's like, I need to touch everybody because everybody's a potential referral source. And I'm like, that would be awesome, not realistic. And it's not actually really reality. Not everybody's built to refer you, even if they adore you. So you really have to be able to hone down on who's the best and ideal referral source. I tell folks is, when we're looking at our client base, 20% is actually what we're aiming to start with of our clients to refer us. And if you can get there, we can grow from there, right? So it's kind of specific to the person and to the, obviously, where they are and the relationships that they have, but really just feel really good if you have a dozen or 24 referral sources. And then as long as you are cultivating referrals from them. Most people do not need hundreds and hundreds of referral sources to get to the volume they need.
Awesome. Stacey, thank you for being with us. Do you have some contact information, maybe a phone number or a website that our viewers can contact you and learn more about the services that you can provide?
Right. The name of your program, if they'll let us know that, and how can our people get in touch? Perfect.
Absolutely. Yep. So my home base is StaceyBrownRandall.com. Scroll to the bottom of that. You're going to find my email address if you want to shoot me an email. My website has everything you could possibly need in terms of resources. One thing I would recommend is taking what we call the Referral Ninja Quiz. It's a 9-question quiz, real simple. It helps you define what level of referral ninja you are. Are you a beginner or are you a master in terms of generating referrals without asking? That's at referralquiz.com. So, of course, you can find it on my website or referralquiz.com. The name of my program is Growth by Referrals. Just look it up and it'll walk you through the 2 different ways that I work with people, one-on-one or through an online program. But I always tell folks, you can find all the information you want. Start with the Referral Ninja Quiz because it'll help you understand where you need to go and what information is actually going to be more relevant for you on your particular journey.
The Referral Ninja Quiz. Thank you very much, Stacey. We have our own quiz here, actually. It's called the Take a Listing Today to Make Yourself Feel Smart quiz. And perhaps you could join us. We actually are giving away this wonderful book, Dog Eat Dog and Vice Versa. It's about how to put bite into your marketing. Could we send one of those to you?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, well, if you answer the question correctly, we're going to send one to you.
Oh, wait, I got to answer a question first?
See, yep. It's tradition.
Get around it.
Now, we normally.
I just got nervous.
No, there's nothing to be nervous about here except for embarrassment. But we normally,
outside of that, you're fine. Yeah.
We normally have an open-ended question, but because you are our special guest here today, Stacey, it's a 3-part ABC answer.
Okay.
Okay. No, there's no math. No math involved. All right. This is very, very simple. We gave you the easy one today. In which Olympic sport are Cody, Rudolph, and Randolph all techniques?
Seriously, this is the question?
This is the question.
I'm getting more nervous right now.
Wait a minute. My bad. A, here are your choices. A, badminton. B, trampoline. C, water polo.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with water polo.
C, water polo. Is that correct?
Oh, you would have loved the book. Stacey, you would have loved the book. It would have taken your career. You would have got more. Oh, geez. Jerry Rossi. How do we explain to him that his book did not get one today now?
What is the answer?
Oh.
The answer is trampoline. Trampoline.
Sounds like she wants
How is
another
that
chance,
an Olympic sport? That's an Olympic sport?
I don't know. That's the question writers. I don't know how.
Stacey, I was guessing water polo too, so you're not.
I was just trying to think, what's an Olympic sport? I didn't think trampoline. I mean,
But it
gymnastics.
sounds like you really want the book, so Jim is going to come from compassion and give you one more question because a book like this. Oh, by the way, if you're having trouble sleeping, go to chapter 3 in this book, okay?
Do you have trouble sleeping? Yeah.
Hopefully he's not watching our podcast.
That'll make you not want to sleep if you read that chapter. All right, Stacey, here's a great one. Ready?
Oh, gosh.
What English word becomes its opposite when the letters F-E are added in front of it?
She's going to get this one right. I have
a good feeling about this one.
Wait, read the question again, please.
What English word becomes its opposite when the letters F-E are added in front of it?
I can feel all my professors from grad school being like, you were a communications major. Why don't you know this answer?
You don't know this?
She can ask Lisa, girl power. She can ask Lisa for girl power.
I would like to call a friend.
Okay, yes.
Think of the
Call a
word
friend.
girl power.
Lisa's your friend right now.
I think there's two of them. There's one that is girl and one that is boy. So
Might
now
find this on a bathroom door,
possibly. Female.
right?
Female. That's my answer.
She won with help. I like that. I want to see people win in life, okay?
Oh, very
Stacey,
nice.
I never get these right.
Stacy, we look forward to sending you the book Dog Eat Jog by Jerry Rossi, and tell her
over to you.
what that one chapter to skip, otherwise it's going to really...
The one chapter, the third eye. In fact, the third eye is on my water bottle here for some reason. It follows you wherever you go. So
Once you learn about that in the book, you will not be able to get away from it. So set the book somewhere special until
I thought you guys were going to tell me if I failed to get it again right, I was going to have to send you my book. But I'm so glad that I got to call a friend and Lisa hooked me up.
We would like that. We would like that, though.
yeah, you should send Lisa your book. We would love to read
You would
that.
send that? Yeah.
And she kind of hooked you up there because I had another
She
20
did.
questions if we had to get to them.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Oh, Stacey has to go. Darn, she can't answer more questions.
Okay. Well, Stacey, she already won.
Great to see you today, by the way.
Don't
Great
make
job.
me. Please don't make me. Yeah, no more questions.
No, you're good. Stacey, you're a great sport. Thank you for joining us today. And we're going to leave all of your contact information in our notes and stuff so people can get a hold of you, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you very much. And thank all of you for joining us on today's podcast. Don't forget, we are brought to you by Prospects Plus, offering real estate postcards that work. You can design, print, and mail in minutes. Visit their website at ProspectsPLUS.com and search for the real estate postcards that work. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we go live. And we'll see you next week.
Take care, Stacy. Bye-bye.